Okay, I'm just going to be recording commentary, which I've had the idea for a while, but just never really went through with it because I'm lazy, among other reasons. And I'll be starting off with this one, my third video. Definitely has a lot more anime type undertones, as well as songs and more of a feel. Happy, and some of the others really seem to like this one. I want to say this third one is when it really took off in terms of actually being higher quality movies from mostly myself. This warrior never shows. I remember him being one of the more decent, competent warriors, one of the better warriors. He also seemed nice enough. He was a nice guy, and he was humble too. Some people certainly have a big attitude when it comes to arrogance and all that, but he wasn't one of them. I remember him and I kind of just talking and laughing about some of the stuff, like a Wind Fairy clip where he kills me later, damn near instant kills me. I was pretty impressed by that. That was me and my Elo friend, and he would kind of just pop in there sometimes, and we'd play games together. I want to say it was usually Wrathy Bazin, especially at the time of Grinding Reputation. Probably didn't play a lot of Warsong. I don't remember playing a lot of Warsong with him on that character, which was belonging to a friend. And then yeah, this intro was edited by EPAC, which looked nice, but I asked him to do it. He did a few things like that for me and my videos, same with Hap, because never really got too big into model editing or proper editing. I do a little bit of editing, but not much, so I always had to task those chores out to someone else. So that was almost a really good trinket immune right there. Not quite though. Although that's a bit of a trick you can do too. You can try and time it like that so that it's not quite a trinket immune. Then you get the DR on the polymorph. I think I was going for a trinket immune and just like slightly mistimed it right there though. Of course, a Paladin equivalent of the rogue using a divine shield on a palm pyro. This is a trick every Paladin should know, especially when flag curing. Kind of just like the situation, you get rocket helmed or anything like that, then you can just use a shield or a divine shield or blessing protection on yourself. Drop the flag, dispel the shield, pick up the flag, and then go on. Depending on how it's actually coded and whatnot, it does feel a little bit different. So on Phoenix, I remember at the time, a lot of private servers, you could just use blessing protection on yourself or someone else, and then you could force them to drop the flag, which was funny and useful sometimes, especially if someone's trying to troll your team, and then you can force the bop flag repick out of them. Of course, that also makes it really bad when pallies are on your team trolling you, and then the same thing happens in reverse. But on classic retail, it was coded a little bit differently so that you couldn't just bop yourself, and then you had to have a separate macro to self-dispel the flag. Then you can bop yourself, and then you self-dispel the bop, and then you can pick up the flag. So it was a bit of a different macro, key presses, but kind of the same thing, different steps. Just more eye candy. There's a lot of eye candy in this video. Goss is a really good mage. He was. I'm really proud of that moment too, because it's. So really good moments are when you do them against skilled players, really good players, and Goss is a really good player. Featured in one of the Mage versus Rogue videos of Nit, who's a really great rogue, classic rogue. And I ended up doing two things here, which was fake casting him, and then also doing the freedoming on the Nova trick, which is great eye candy. And there's some reasons, practical reasons why you'd want to do it sometimes, just not always. And there's some more risk involved because it's essentially a game of prediction, which is also a weird skill to have and a weird gamble to do, because you're not going to be right 100% of the time. It's not as reliable as a lot of mechanical skill. And that's kind of how it was. Just a nice fake cast into a freedom on the Nova before it actually hits, right before it actually hits. You're a GCD up on a mage if you do this correctly. Not always relevant, sometimes it's very relevant. Of course, it is nice eye candy. And that's kind of just a basic trick. Defensive stance, battle stance, or Berserker Rages on cooldown. You have free reign to just use Rocket Helmet or Repentance on a warrior. I want to say a lot of this is two-handed Holy Shock rep spec, which is a really underrated spec. I need to get better at flag running nowadays. I'm pretty out of practice when it comes to flag running. A large part of why I didn't want to do it is because I didn't enjoy it when it was so laggy. It also just really felt weird with the classic engine and all that. But need to get back into it. Used to be way better at flag running. I'd say that's pretty much the only thing that I'm really rusty at. And then I think the other Paladin I had in Alakir at the time, the male human Paladin, he was deep red most of the time, most of the clips. Although I did run a two-handed Holy Shock. That was a good trinket immune right there. Way easier to do on something telegraph like Polymorph. Tried to loss him, but I didn't loss him. I was like, that's gonna go off, and then I just timed the trinket immune right. Now here, I think I should have timed that grenade a little bit differently because it gets interrupted by the Seal Command auto. Kind of didn't matter. End up killing that guy anyways. Never show ya. Same guy. That warrior had some gear. He also didn't freak out in terms of playing the warrior versus Rep Pally matchup. It's mostly an RNG matchup, but there's some interesting things that go on in that fight. Like if a warrior knows how to just sort of kite and be annoying, because he doesn't have to brawl up front with the Paladin, and he can do other things which he does in this clip, like bait, snare, blessing of freedom, and all that. And it's like, well, you don't have unlimited mana, so what's your choice? And blessing of protection, blessings of might or wisdom, and all that kind of stuff. You have different choices of Paladin on what you're going to do, and he's trying to force that stuff out. Repentance baiting. I want to say he did repentance baiting, but maybe he didn't. I don't know. Not a lot of warriors actually repentance bait, and they don't repentance bait properly. A lot of time that you do see it, it's by accident. And I just barely killed that guy there. Got the proc. I want to say crit, and then barely killed him. Well within execute range. Just not quite enough damage. More freedoming on the Nova. I think a lot of people don't understand what I or other people mean when we say that, but yeah, it means that it's not that you get hit by the Frost Nova and then, a second after with GCDs and delayed reaction time you press Blessing of Freedom. It means you do it like right before or the same time as Frost Nova, and that's what freedoming a Nova is, which can be pretty risky and tricky and all that, but skillful. It's nice eye candy. Everybody loves eye candy. This is, let's see, other than I guess the sulfurous video, Pally with Hander Rag, which was a tribute to Unbreakable, the original video. This is probably like the most eye candy video I have. Pretty sure it is. So it'd be the sulfurous video, this video, and then the third one would have been Insane Frags, I guess. Scorn, yeah. I remember that guy having some gear. He hurt. A lot of warriors with gear hurt. That's just how they are. It was worse when they were sword spec most of the time. Although, I mean, Dark Edge proc is that thing will meme you a lot of the time. It's fight breaking, winning or losing very often, which is understandable. This is kind of just practical, standard Pally group fight stuff, especially if you don't want to CC like that. And this is a trick not everyone knows. Now, I'm not sure the exact calculation in terms of left to right, but if someone's trying to dispel Pally, Priest, whatever, Fell, Puppy, then sometimes it happens from the left, sometimes it happens from the right. So if you're trying to, let's say, Rocket Helm someone, CC him, and you have a Priest that's out of mana, or GCD constrained, lots happening in the fight, or it's a Fell Puppy and it has a cooldown on the spell, you can always just put it in the middle, the Rocket Helm in the middle, and then overlap something on the sides, which is what happens right here, like that. Which is a pretty neat trick, not always very useful. Of course, we got the Ocean Graves Mage, tribute to, or reference to Disharmonia Mundi. Hannah Pontana. I remember fighting that guy a lot, and I do remember getting a lot of Divine Shields on his Death Coils, like right here, I want to say. And then right there, that's Pally stuff. Another reason why the Vindication talent is nice, even if you have just 1 point. You don't always have to do that with trying to dispel buffer, and protect Hammer of Justice from the Fell Puppy Dispel with a Judgment of the Crusader, which you can do, but you don't always have to, especially if you have Vindication. Vindication is really nice also for that reason. Yeah, there it is. Just Divine Shield of Death Coil. Paladin equivalent of the Vanish. This felt so much better on private servers, actually just using Judgment to try and predict a rogue Vanish like that. On classic retail, that was incredibly hard to do. Incredibly hard to do. It was pretty much free for the rogue to just vanish. And that's not how it was in actual vanilla. That could have been smoother. I said there was a pause right there. And yeah, you do get people like this sometimes that just chase you forever. Although that's fast forwarding, I'm gonna skip that a little bit anyways. And then here this guy makes a mistake of going in battle stance, I want to say. I try and escape at the same time. Yep. Trade places. The rogue kind of is trying to figure out where I was. Hand up Fontana again. Here we go. Death Coil, yeah. Just shield it. That's kind of eye candy, but also it's real. Sometimes it is the best option to do Divine Shielding a Death Coil. Unfortunately, there's some things in this game where it's not rewarded very often. So the most skillful thing is kind of more of a tricksman, showy showmanship type thing than something that actually is efficient towards winning, which is unfortunate. And yeah, Seal Command stuff. This is one of those do or die things if you have zero options as well. If you can't beat someone as a paladin through trying to go through trinkets and gear and all the gadgets and all that, you just need extra burst. Not a high chance of it happening, but you can equip Hand of Justice, and hopefully you get lucky. Not very likely, but hopefully you get lucky. You get a Seal Command proc, which can proc Hand of Justice, which can proc Seal Command, and then you get double hits. So having that one clip, and it happens in this one too, which is a lot of damage. A lot of damage, especially if that stuff crits. Especially if I had more gear, but a lot of damage. A lot of damage. This is a lot easier to do when spell bashing windows are bigger, but it is a trick. It tends to benefit you obviously when you go from one-hander to two-hander. Get the one-hander proc, go to two-hander. Notice it's a lot harder to do on the current version with the reduced spell batching of Season of Mastery Classic, but it was so easy to do on the original Classic version, not vanilla, but the first Classic version before Season of Mastery. And then that's using more sort of seal twisting ideas. When you got the Seal Command proc, you could use Seal Crusader, and you get the bonus attack power, which made that thing, I want to say towards the high end, roughly 200 damage, depending on the rank, obviously, and I guess whether you had the talent, but about 200 extra damage, which is pretty nice on a crit. That guy hurt. Pulpo did some damage. This is one of those clips where it's like eye candy and whatnot, but it's not like, you can't really be one of those people that you think you're good because you kill someone. So like for instance right here, we're 2v1ing the guy. So it's not like, he sucks and I'm the best because he died or anything like that. Although, most of the time mages should win that fight anyways. It's probably like 1 out of 10 times when the mage and paladin play it right, that just because of RNG and both of them playing it right, that the mage ends up losing. Pretty rare though, very rare. I'm pretty proud of this moment because really, if I'm pronouncing that right, this Undead Priest, he was one of the better priests, pretty good player, and I just trinket immune to his sphere. And that is really intricate timing, like exactly when predicting when he's gonna use sphere, and then I trinket immune it. I want to say it ended up being mostly useless because I died and we lost that point, but it did look nice. And that was just more eye candy, and Then of course there's this warlock. I didn't like fighting any geared warlocks or any warlocks, especially when in this geared T3 and all that. It's really difficult for them to lose that fight. They just throw up 2 dots, instant casts, and pretty much anyone's boned at that point. Do you remember Black 7? A War Soul Mage. Fought him a lot. And then this rogue, he did a lot of damage, he hurt. If they're being more predictable, you can do that. Of course, it is punishable if someone does start recognizing your habit to do this all the time. Connecting from NA and all that, there's a lot of lag. So more tricks like this can be very useful because you don't have to sort of react to it with lag. Instead, you can just preemptively use it. They're going to use kidney shot, whatever. Just have it already sent. But someone catches you on that habit and they can start punishing you really, really bad for it. So you have to be careful about that. I do remember seeing Jude. I do really like this clip with Jude, which is borrowing the sort of shadow step rogue, not rogue warrior intercept idea. Essentially the same. You don't see a lot of other classes like Paladins do that all the time, but yeah. Then I was a successful cap after Jude, who was a flag carrier, ended up dying. I remember certain players like Malibu, who was a good priest on the server, really respected and liked Jude. He said that Jude was mesmerizing to watch, and he could watch him forever. So I thought it was a bit of a lost opportunity that I didn't get to play with Jude more and sort of analyze him and all that. I just remember this mage's name. I think he was a cool guy too. That was a funny name though. Yeah, that warrior made the mistake of going battle stance, rocket helm free essentially. Alright, so you get the DR, let's see where we're going, and then this also you have to be very careful about doing this if you're fighting a mage or whatnot, especially as a paladin, because this is one of the only things you can do, which is a temporary save. Sort of pre-position the nade, have it already set, so that, and also pay attention to travel distance on the nade, so that if they do cast polymorph, you can actually stun them and not be sheeped. If you tend to do this from far distance, far away enough, which isn't that far, very often you'll get the grenade off and then they'll get the polymorph off anyways, and then you have a grenade that's on cooldown, which is not what you want most of the time. Agensai. Yeah, he was a cool guy. He's one of the better players. And I think around here is when I had the idea, which should have done in the video, but didn't. The progenitor of the idea, I want to say, of sort of getting the best of both worlds, minus the swing timer reset of having whatever kind of enchant you want on your two-hander, like Crusader, and then putting a weapon chain on your one-hander, and then just predict, react to disarm, and then you can shield swap, disarm weapon chaining unit, and then shield swap back to your two-hander rather than weapon swap. I think I almost dodged that cone of cold, not quite. Yeah, there was the delayed palm pyro. Now I want to say after fighting this guy a few times in Hannah Pontana, that warlock, they started getting a little bit better at delaying and being a little bit more unpredictable with their death coils and palm pyros. Just more eye candy. A lot of that. Using the Goblin Rocket Helm as an intercept. It feels very fun to use. Unfortunately, it seems like it's rarely actually the most useful to do that. Usually it's just more useful for the CC. More judgment out of Vanish. Or judging rogues out of Vanish, however you want to say it. This is pretty funny. He actually messes up here too.
This boy.
I think he was for something, but I forgot.
I can't see. Fuck.
Literally, why couldn't he set? I wonder if that's like a UI issue.
This guy was lighting up the fuck.
There's just Sauce talking in the background.
Apex. Closer from the right.
And then they make Giant mistake.
Client.
Of course, it is easier on Kayla
What's the
because
issue?
it's a 2v1, and one of them is a shaman that can just burst family, so it's an easy fight. But
So Nerza,
it's also NA connecting to EU, so we're laggy. It's hard for like manage rocket.
let me get this
But that's
CF.
exactly what happened. So
Full kidney. I encouraged him.
they think it's free,
Wait,
they think it's
wait,
free,
I'm
and
gonna let
I'm
you
just
get
like, nah.
Lightning shoot. Lightning shoot.
Big cast, yep, there it is.
Oh, he fragged you. You're so
And I had such low
I
health too.
could. I don't know what my bind is. I have to like look for it.
You needing.
He didn't know what his mind
If you lose the
was.
Nerza,
Such a fucking
I'm not gonna lose fucking Nerza. This sucks.
Nerza, stop running. What have you done?
trying to bait him in, reel him in here.
Don't even mount. Don't mount. Don't mount. Don't mount. You're not gonna get it off. You're not
That's
gonna
also
get
why
it
I
off.
use Blessing in Mind. I'm trying to actually do
Shock, frost shot.
tons of burst damage.
Fuck you.
Frost shock resist.
What's my first shot?
No,
button?
no.
What?
I'm gonna cut him. 3 hots. Lots of burst, 2-handers, holy shock, hell yeah. Dead.
You got fucking wrecked.
Did I? Oh, am I still alive, motherfucker?
Yeah, the graveyard is right there. I'm just thinking in my head like,
Lord, somebody on retail.
really unfortunate that I'm this close to the graveyard.
You just got a whisper from somebody called Blizzard Z. Blizzard Administration.
You're a piece of
PM.
shit.
Back. Claim revenge.
Good night, Mr. Shit Paladin.
And then the block. And then completely unfucking necessary. But yeah.
Lol.
Piece of shit. That is funny.
Why are you guys doing this to me?
I kick your ghost. I kick your ghost. Release and I will kick your ghost.
That is funny though.
You guys are such asses. Damn.
Dude, you just got 1v1 by me. How do you feel? You trapped it.
No, I did. What?
Yeah, you did. You suck. I fucking
I'm not
stomach
here.
your ass.
I don't even know why I play this game.
Throw-
I think I remember Kara's commenting at the time that he didn't like the wub 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 dubstep songs. I like that one. I do really like the soundtrack for this video, although it was definitely anime weeb vibes for the most part. A lot of names going through this, like Zurg. A lot of names I remember. Sins, yeah. Sins is one of the better hunters. Akasaurs and Sins. I want to say there was another. It might have been Shadowbang. I'm not sure. Who were the better hunters of the bunch. I was trying to off-heal that guy and all that, but he didn't really have a lot of gear. And then we're fighting shamans. They have a lot of burst, and they bursted him. I did like the synergy between me and this random rogue. Just sort of choosing the right targets. You seeing the other guy. As well as pally stuff like, dispelling and all that. That was just a lazy death quill right there. Patitz was pretty good. He was a Happy Gilmore fanboy. He actually had a rogue on Warsong, the other server. This one being Alakir. And people would think that it was Happy Gilmore playing, but it was fucking Patitz playing. And right here he makes a big mistake. That's like a warrior versus pally thing. Well, anything, but especially warrior versus pally. You can withhold judgment. Anything like Consecrate too, but you have to be closer for Consecrate. So you can withhold judgment, and then with shield up, people typically don't think that you're going to attack. He starts bandaging, and no, just denied. Judgment, kill. That's an easy kill right there. This is pretty interesting in terms of juggling, killing someone in a 1v2, also living. Here's the fake cast, got it. Put that down. Let's see, did I have the time? No. I think I could have changed things a little bit differently, but right there in that clip, I wouldn't have had time to shadow swap. Or swap rather to fire resist. Or swapping is pretty useful and cool sometimes, but unfortunately it is GCD locked in a lot of cases, so you don't always have time for it. kind of interesting in terms of the choices you have to make, though. But yeah. And this, yeah, I'm just sort of praying to God to actually get to procs and kill these guys because they don't have gear, but it's still a 1v3, 1v2, especially versus an enhancement shaman. There's not a lot of counterplay you can do to a purge spamming person. One of the biggest hard counters there is to a paladin, but you can actually, plus or minus depending on the lag, you can actually just time your seal command or any kind of seal you want with your auto attack so that even if someone is purge spamming you, you still have a chance to proc it. But a lot of that does depend on the lag and all that. End up killing that guy. Oh yeah, Nicki Minaj. Oh yeah, this is just a double hodge. I thought that was kind of cool. Both being ready for it and all that. It's like, okay, you followed up first. All right, fell puppy just fell. Nah, denied. Did not really have to worry about the seduction there either. This guy, he was a talker on the forums. He's one of those guys that would always like imply, if not outright, say that he was great, everyone else sucked. So Warrior versus Paladin is a very RNG heavy fight, but at the same time, there's some tricks and whatnot you can do to sort of. There's ways to play it. There's more versatile ways to play it, just like with anything else. It's like in this fight, did I have to move up the hill? No, I didn't. So there's flexibility in how you play it, but also ways to play it. And one of the things about this is that he didn't really seem like he was respecting the options that I had, like execute baiting right here, like that for instance. I'm trying to sort of waste his time and get as much damage and all that as I can, so I'm trying to execute bait him. Grenade misses. My friends always laugh at me for my grenades, especially on private servers. He does that same mistake that Paddox did, which is bandaging early, not respecting judgment. Should have got a little bit more distance before he did that, but there he is, and he doesn't heal that much because of that. He could have got a lot more healing if he decided to run out more and then see what I was doing. Then I would have had to make the choice. I would have had to make the choice on, should I keep chasing this guy and try and deny bandage, or should I heal myself? And then he can still run away and then get more bandage, but he didn't. And do keep in mind, this guy is geared to the teeth. He has a lot of gear. A warrior doesn't need a lot of gear to insta-give you. Just because they can get really lucky procs, kind of like a pally or a reckoning pally. Now that was a little bit overkill on this guy, but that was a good thing. Ended up getting enough procs, hodge procs, judgment, and then that was also followed up by a holy shock. And you can also tell it was overkill because that holy shock affected me instead of him, which happens if the target is dead, because then you can't holy shock him. There he is again. Shadow Bane, yeah. Battle stance, I see that. Free Rocket Helm. And this is like probably the biggest gouge dancing moment recorded. Him and I are we kind of know the game. The game's up because he's trying to catch the FC, so he doesn't really want to waste a bunch of time stealth or whatnot. I'm trying to keep in combat, and I'm trying to deny the gouge too. I don't really want him to get a free gouge on me and then just run away. Still just messing around like, oh, got the auto attack. Trying to get the auto attacks in there while avoiding gouge. Runs away. I'm like, nah. He knew he was kind of screwed. This is one of those fights that just got the RNG, got the setup right, and then the RNG actually happened, and then I bursted the guy. Can't really say that the guy was bad or anything like that. It was just, it's not that anything particularly bad happened by either player. That's just how the fight went. Just like this one, actually. Scoring. Yeah. Yeah, Scoring was a cool guy. And there goes all my health. Just like that. Yeah, I did the slash laugh. I remember him saying that later. I guess it was Scorned, huh? Yeah, I guess it was Scorned. Was it both of them? My memory's kind of hazy. I remember Never Show being that warrior, but I guess it was Scorn. Maybe they were both cool guys. Maybe I knew them both. I don't know. Maybe I did. It's been so many years at this point. And yeah, this is EPAC trying to fucking troll me and kill me. I don't think he actually does. Yeah, I managed to kill his ass. Yeah, I do really like that waiting soundtrack. A lot of the Scandal, happy turned me on to Scandal, Sour Fit music and all that too. This guy seemed pretty good, Rocane. He just didn't have gear. That was it, but he seemed like he was a pretty good player. Kind of unfortunate that most of the time Warrior versus Warrior and Pally versus Pally matchups and Pally versus Warrior matchups usually tend to just be most affected by if you have the skill for a do you know how to keybind and not keyboard turn. That's like 90% of the fight right there. And then the last 10% is other tricks and like timing and how you respond to certain situations and all that. That was a pretty cool visual trick, which I think happened. Yeah, one-hander sheath, but your shield's out. That was pretty cool. And that was just getting high damage with this command procs on with that CTS. That is a nice sword. They used to call it. Someone whispered. I think it was me. Yeah, someone whispered me when I was on my rogue alt, and there was a trick at the time. I want to say it was capitalized on by a few people, including Ellie Girl. I want to say, cool guy, mage, and because of the pathing and all that at the time, you could pull Nefarin and all that, and then have them killed by Velostraz, the second boss of BWL, and he would just kill them all with the debuff, and so people would just get free loot in BWL. Off every boss other than the second boss, and when he saw me on my rogue, someone whispered me when I was on my rogue with the like T2 shoulders and the CTS, and then he whispered me and he's like, "Hey man, are you part of the happy crew? Because the T2 shoulders and the CTS is a happy and crew look," and we just kind of laughed at that comment, which is pretty funny. We never got banned or punished for it, but yeah, that was the thing, and yeah, we got some gear off of that, off of some other nice guys that were just exploiting that and giving out gear. All right, that was it for this video. Thanks for watching.